Cheers. So, I have to go run an errand real quick. Actually, oh shoot, I gotta go right now. This was my second pot of the day. It's been a crazy day. I'm gonna go run an errand and then come back, and then I've got something to do with you. I do wish they were the same height. Well, that is going to be incredibly helpful to finally have. I've always said, like, I want to have, like, my, I don't know, like my basic crafting table, like, you know. I got a few of these stainless steel kitchen, like industrial kitchen tables last year for production. In fact, I got double the order, which was kind of awesome. And always wanted to turn one of them into like one of those like craft Karen kind of tables. Something that just has all the things I need specifically for finishing work. And that's going to be it. In fact, the thing I think I'm most excited about is I'm going to have a tape gun drawer. So I've got to figure out how to best do kind of molded interiors so stuff goes where it goes. I'm super excited about it. You'll see more of that later. So there is this guy. He's in the wedding space. He's an educator talking about sales primarily. And it is not worth paying attention to him to parse the very few good things he says from the absolute tripe that comes out of his mouth. I'm going to piss some people off today. Here's the thing. He is brilliant at sales. If he was selling furniture or cars or any widget, everything he says is probably really great advice. But what he completely misses, specifically about the wedding world, is that most of us in the wedding industry are, in some shape or form, creative people. And for most wedding businesses, the business doesn't scale past a certain point. And so quality over quantity is the name of the game. Especially for people who do things like what I do. Now, granted, there are plenty of stationers out there that do volume, and that's a whole different conversation. But some of us, we can only work with so many people in a year. I only want to work with 10 clients a year, I guess. If you had branding, there are a few more. But in terms of events, 10 clients a year. If I'm only taking 10 clients a year, I have to be very selective about the clients I choose to deal with. And this guy wrote this a couple weeks ago on Instagram. Want to know the single most risky question you can ask a client? How did you two meet? Or similar questions, blah, blah, blah. What? You asked these questions and got good feedback. Sure you do, from the people who book you. But what about all those who don't? Maybe they're saying they don't like your questions and they cast their votes by ghosting you, or more likely telling you that they decided to go a different, less expensive direction. Why are these questions bad? They're too personal, this early on at least. And he goes on. Here's the thing. If I can't ask deeply personal questions the very first time I meet a couple and really get to understand who they are, what the meaning behind, like, why are they doing this thing, having this wedding, spending this money, throwing this party. If I can't get that from them on the first call, there is nothing I can do to convert them to the trust factor needed to get the information I need to do my best work. It is imperative to me that I have trust from the very beginning. So a couple who would be turned off by me asking these important questions. Now, let me be clear. The nature of the specific question, how did you two meet? On its own, kind of a weak question. And I'll give him that. There are better ways to do that. But the couple who is scared off by personal questions in a sales call or like a getting to know you call, they're never going to give you the trust that you need. The bigger picture is this, because sometimes, at least when I have these conversations, people tend to get bogged down in the details of like, well, I would ask different questions and blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. As a creative, you get to choose who you work with. You get to pick. It's amazing. It's the freedom of doing creative work. I would say that it's actually the obligation of doing creative work, that you're selective about who you work with. Because if you're not, you will get clients who suck your soul, who don't give you creative freedom, who don't trust you. And trust and money are the two commodities that a client has that we as creatives need in order to do our best work. I would say that's one of the very few universal things that I can say about my business is all creative businesses need trust and dough to do the work. They got to have the money and they got to have the trust. If you don't have that, you're not really doing like creative work, capital C. You may be doing little c, but whatever. This idea, I'm here to get to know as quickly as humanly possible from the people who are freaked out by the things that I do. It's why I say holy shit stationary in my branding, because there are other things you could say, none of them have that impact. And frankly, the person who's turned off by that phrase probably isn't going to enjoy working with me. I'm intense, I'm excitable. I am not soft and feminine in the way that I work. And so that roughness there scares off the wrong people. And frankly, it attracts the right people. The same is true of things like I ask a question when you inquire with me. I ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to consider an idea you've never seen before? Now, I don't say it in that form, but the reality is if you answer below 8 or 9, you're not my people. Now, there's totally a possibility that the person filling out that form might have just misunderstood. So I give them a way to bring themselves back into the process. But the reality is my clients, who I say are brave and daring people, what makes them brave and daring is they're willing to step over the edge with me. And so I don't need to waste anyone's time if they don't want to step over the edge. If they want boring, if they want safe, they can go find somebody else. And in fact, they're wasting their time talking to me because I'm not going to do boring and safe for them. This doesn't just apply to holy shit stationary or taking people over to the edge. It's literally whatever matters to you. The thing that matters to you, lean into that. Scare people away who aren't into the thing that you're into. Because if you're a creative, you can only scale to what's between your ears. There's only so much time you have to do that creative work. And I would posit that the more you have a healthy sense of who you are and hobbies and extracurriculars and all those things, the better you are at doing your creative work. And that means you have to turn away. In fact, maybe even repulse the people who don't see the world the way that you do, that don't get the things that you get about your work, that don't, for me in weddings, beyond the idea of taking someone over the edge, I believe that everything I do has to have meaning. If a couple's investing in my work for their wedding, why would we not make it meaningful? Why would we give them a Pinterest wedding? It makes no sense at all. And so the couple who isn't really tied to the idea of meaning in their stationery, they don't see the world the way I do. And I have no time for them, and they don't need to waste their time on me. It's that simple. So this idea from this dude that says, I need to scare away as few people as possible and keep people in my funnel as long as possible, it's complete crap. Scare the people away who don't get it, who don't understand the way you think and operate. Scare them away so that you can absolutely attract and draw to you the very people who want the thing that you have, the thing that's different about you. One of the ways this plays out is in policies. People who have policies that are different from other people in their category, that's powerful. I was just talking to my sister, who's a photographer, about the idea that her best work happens when she gets to do an engagement session with a couple, not just meet them on their wedding day for the first time in person. I believe that if that's where you live, it would be a really great policy to say, I only work with couples who will book me for an engagement session as well. And not just like they'll pay for it, because it's not about the dollars. It's about actually doing it. Because if that's the thing that gets you to your best work, make a policy that says, I can't give you any less than my best. I've been saying for a while now, it's an act of love to tell someone, I can only give you my best, and these are the circumstances required to do it. It is a completely different way of seeing the world than most people, especially this dude. And again, you can figure out who it is. I think his advice will break so many great businesses because they will be overwhelmed with bad but sincere clients. Wonderful, kind people who deserve the best. And he's deluding them into thinking that drawing them further into your funnel is how you give them your best. It's not. Kindly saying, I don't think I'm a good fit for you. Here's somebody else that might be. That's the most loving thing that you can do. Or literally just the simple act of saying, I don't do what you're asking for, and being done at that. Sometimes it's not necessarily about sending them to the right person. I love doing that. There are some times where it's just not appropriate or it doesn't make sense. In those times, just the clarity of saying, I'm not for you, is the most loving thing that you can do. And I'm all about being as loving as I can while maintaining the integrity of my best work. A completely different topic about weddings worth noting. If you're in wedding media and you're posting on Instagram and you're highlighting a particular facet of an event, make sure you credit the person who did that facet. One of my favorite wedding publications just last week posted a picture of escort cards. That's the cards that tell you what table you're at, as opposed to place cards, which actually sit on the table and tell you what seat you're at. So escort cards are like you're seated at this table, you're seated at this table, and then usually at the table you can pick your seat. There was a gorgeous escort card display posted by a major wedding and events media company on Instagram with no credit for the stationer. And it was a photo of escort cards highlighting the coolness of these escort cards and no credit. And actually, I asked about it, and the person who made them is a friend of mine, and she commented on it, and they corrected it. And yeah, they may have had an intern or an employee who just wasn't thinking, and I know that like the stationer isn't the one who submitted the photo and may or may not have been given credit in the submission. But if you're taking the time to post a photo of stationery or of food or of flowers, make sure that the stationer or the caterer or the designer are credited. It's really simple to do that. It can be hard. Pick a different photo then. If you can't figure out who to credit, pick a different photo. I think these things are really important, and there are changes that I want to see in the industry. This guy I'm talking about, I've been riled up about him for a week now. Well, for longer than that. But I'm just so sad to watch friends of mine like his posts and parrot the things that he says when he doesn't value the nature of creative work in the whole process. And I really believe that if you have a really great sense of who you are, a great marketing department, as it were, you don't need great sales, because your marketing department is your sales. This is who I am and what I stand for. Would you like it? Do you want to go on this journey with me? And if you do, here's what it takes. Let's go. Thank you so much for hanging in with me. It's been a wicked couple of weeks. I'm going to give you a studio tour in the next video, maybe the one after that. I have moved some presses around. I have a couple pieces of equipment on their way in that I'm really excited about that change the functionality of this space. Those drawers, I'm super excited. It's such a stupid little thing, but having more storage space gets things off of surfaces and away, and gives me more freedom to play and create for you. I'd really love to thank my patrons for supporting the work of these videos and again, being patient as I try to figure out what my voice is in this. These presses, the equipment is sexy, but the why is so much more important. And finding the balance there of beautiful things and beautiful thoughts is what I'm after. If you'd like to support that, go to patreon.com/afinepress. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you next time.